You have an NBA title one season. The following season, you break the record for most wins in NBA as far as regular season, and now the chance to run through a postseason with a clean slate. I mean, you're talking about the beginnings of a dynasty here. And let's go back. We've established that you have Chicago ties. Is that going to be enough to put them over the top of, say, the 95-96 Chicago Bulls?
You know what? It's so funny because Michael Jordan, when he saw Joe Lacob, one of the owners of the Warriors, in an event in the offseason, he said 73 wins don't mean bleep when you don't win a championship. And it was Jordan, still a competitive MJ, going up to the team that knocked his 72-win team over, and saying, you know what? You didn't complete the play. You didn't get it done. And so I think that competitively that Bulls team would say that they're the better club. And quite honestly, the game is a different game right now. It's just played in a different fashion. So it's kind of hard to compare the two. But boy, it would sure be interesting to see who was going to guard Steph Curry, whether Jordan would step out on Curry, and then Pippen would step out on Durant. You know, I got to tell you, that Bulls team was pretty darn good. Man, oh man, that's a great discussion, don't you think? I mean, Sal, what do you say, Sal?
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I'm listening to you talk about it. Now, I'm a guy who grew up loving those 90s basketball teams. Now, I was a Knicks fan, but still, 90s basketball is my style. 84, 80, late fourth quarter is my type of game. Nowadays, you see 90 points in the third quarter. I think the Bulls would beat them. Toughness, both physically, mentally, and as you said right there, breaking it down, Jordan on Curry, Pippen out on Durant. Those are two major factors that would change the look of what we now know as the Warriors team. There's nobody that could do that in the league right now.
yeah, I think I'd lean that direction. I think it'd be a fabulous series to play. If anyone wants to play it in a video game and tell us what happens in a 7-game series, I'd certainly like to know. That'd probably be the best chance we'd get. But I'd even go back to the teams, those Magic, Lakers, those Bird, Celtics teams. I mean, those teams are some rugged clubs. I'd be interested to see how all of them would fare. And I think we could build great discussions for all of them. Right now, I think I'd still lean 72-win Bulls that went on to win a championship.
Yeah, it is fascinating. I know the 2004 Pistons coming out saying they could beat this Warriors team.
Sure.
The game is completely different, though. And, it almost is disrespectful to say that to the Warriors and all they've accomplished.
Well, let me ask you, though, Koz, since you're out there in the Bay Area and you just said that you still would lean toward Michael and the Bulls, how is that being received by all the Warriors fans?
I don't think, I'm going to get kicked for this, but I think we keep hearing about the support the Warriors have always received for all these many years, even when they had 18 seasons without making a playoff. There are a lot of Warrior fans that their fandom goes all the way back to, say, 2014. No. That's about how far back they are. So if we get into the discussion of that, I think that they might get lost in the weeds. Michael Jordan's just some old man that lived in fairy tales. So I don't think they even would enter into that discussion. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. We here in the Bay Area think that we are smarter than everyone else in the rest of flyover country. So when we say that our team is the best, clearly you guys have to follow our lead. Yes. So I think that's probably what they think.
Okay.
And they have been the best. I'm not so sure how it compares.
And
anyway,
the story is still being written. I mean, we're going to see the Warriors, I think, for the next few years there, going back to
Who's going to challenge them?
Yeah.
Who's going to challenge them in the next few years?
Right.
Well, that's the sad thing, and to me, it's bad. It's great for everybody in the Bay Area, but it's bad for everybody else. The product of the league, the lack of competitiveness, while it's a historic run to potentially go 16-0.
Right.
I mean, the lack of competitiveness throughout each conference.
Let me throw this out to both of you, and especially you, Koz. You see it every day. What do you think about Chris Paul? What if he joins the Spurs? Kawhi Leonard there. LaMarcus Aldridge, I don't know. He's not quite the part that they thought he was going to be, I think, but that's a decent big three.
It is a decent big three. Chris Paul is excellent. He's a very good player, but he's on the back nine of his career. He's not the Chris Paul in his prime. And I think that we have to put that into the equation. Right now, pick a team that's close, and the Spurs could be close. I don't think Chris Paul puts them over the top. Boston was as good as it gets. Boston was the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference this year, and they lost in 5 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Is Cleveland going to retool, knowing that you really only have another season of LeBron James before he has to make a crucial decision. Does he ride it out in the land, or does LeBron ride it out in another super team where he's not the lead dog on the sled as much as he's part of playing with his friends in a city he wants to? And remember, he's got bigger aspirations than just being an NBA star. One day he wants to maybe take over Hollywood. One day he might want to own an NBA team. You know, this next year for Cleveland, maybe they're the one team that might try to add a few pieces along the way.